Happy Friday, Rolling Out family. It's your host, Christal Jordan, and we are here with an exclusive reality check. Now, we're here on a Friday, so that means we have something very juicy. I'm so excited about tonight's conversation. You all know that aside from Ready to Love, we enjoy the conversations on Love and Marriage Huntsville. We've talked to Kimmy, we have talked to Melody, we have talked to Tisha, we have talked to Destiny, and we have even talked to the man Martell himself. But tonight we have the genius behind all of that, which is why I'm so excited. There is a huge explosive reunion scheduled for this weekend, but I got to bring the man himself, like I said, the genius behind this juicy storyline that keeps getting bigger and better and bigger and better. Please help me welcome the man himself, Carlos King, to Reality Check.
Hi.
Hey, Carlos. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. How are you?
We are great. Like I said, this show started small. It started being like water cooler conversation. It's like, wait a minute, this is interesting. And it keeps getting better and juicier and bigger every season. Oh my God. First of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you. But you're so right in that regard. It started off as like the little engine that could, and then it blew up, girl. Now it's on fire.
Did you know? Because I remember when I was sent like the initial trailer and things, and people were thinking, okay, we think of Atlanta. We know we have, lifestyles of the Black elite in Atlanta and places even like LA. Obviously, there's franchises in DC of the Real Housewives. So we see those lifestyles. But thinking of the Black elite in Alabama just felt a little different. So did you know that this show was going to do what it did back then? Because I know a lot of people were like, what are we going to talk about in Alabama?
Yeah, no, to answer your question, yes. I knew the moment I met the other couples that I was onto something really special with this cast because they were so unique and so different that I was like, okay, they look great. They have these big personalities, although they live in a small city. But I knew that the audience would take a liking to it. So I knew instantly. And the other thing I knew people would be attracted to is Huntsville. If this show was called Love and Marriage Atlanta, I think people would have been like, oh, all right. We've seen Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta's oversaturated when it comes to reality shows. But I think Huntsville, similar to Potomac, right? When you heard Potomac, like, first of all, what's Potomac, child?
What is Potomac?
But it sparked your curiosity. So I think Huntsville sparked the curiosity for the masses. And then once you got into the show, you're like, oh, wait a second, baby. Y'all talking about some real life stuff here that Black couples can relate to.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the big personalities, and I think that's one of the things that has stood out. Every season we've talked to the ladies, and I mean, you've got some beautiful couples that I think people can really, really, really relate to. The three staple couples that we got to know over the years, of course, Melody, Martell, Tisha and Marsau, and Kimmy and Maurice. I mean, people, if you're not Melody, you got a girlfriend that probably you could, kind of see Melody in. Same thing with Letitia and Kimmy. How did was that chemistry already there? Because it feels very authentic, because obviously there's family ties and all that, but it feels very much like girlfriends that get on each other's nerves, but there's true love. There's a real relationship there. Was that also a part of what made you so excited about working with them?
Oh, for sure. Because when you look at other reality shows, a lot of them meet on the show, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of those women aren't friends for years. The beauty of the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast is the fact that they were friends for 6-7 years before we started filming. Yeah. So you're right, Christal. There's a richness of history there. There's a legacy of love. And for us, that was the icing on the cake as we were developing and creating the show. I wanted to make sure to showcase real couples who are really friends and who would really be hanging out if there weren't any cameras around.
Right.
And I remember meeting Martell and Melody years prior to us developing this show. And I said, let me meet your friends. And these were the friends they brought to us. And I was like, there we go. We have a show.
Yeah, you definitely have a show. That, I mean, Melody and Martell remain probably the biggest, the most talked about. I mean, this has been from the time we met them and we thought, okay, there's trouble in paradise, to a huge breakdown, now divorced, a whole side baby. Like we have watched this thing go from sugar to right. I always wanted to ask you, did you have any idea? Because as a viewer, you're thinking, okay, surely the title is Love and Marriage Huntsville. The show is popular based on these marriages, and this marriage is in public breakdown in a very sad way. You know, we see, when I watch this, I see a man that has made some huge mistakes and really wants his family back. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But were you at all uncomfortable with the trajectory the marriage took? Because a child outside, I mean, it just, more headlines than you probably could have imagined when you first talked to the two of them, because they look like the perfect couple. What has been your feeling on how the marriage has now ended, and we see a couple just still in a very hurtful place trying to figure things out as co-parents?
Yeah, no. So when I first met with them, like you said, I thought they were the perfect couple. Yeah. I saw no signs of infidelity or even just trouble in their marriage. They presented themselves as a united front. And listen, that more than likely was the case when I first met with them, because I met with them years prior to us doing the show. So I think at the time of me meeting them, there wasn't any infidelity at that time. Mm-hmm. The infidelity started prior to the show, I think a year prior to us filming. And we were just following what was happening, and it just became bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where, like you said, a child outside of the marriage occurred. So what we do is we document what's really happening. But to say, I'll speak for myself, to say I was surprised is an understatement. Yeah, I really thought these two were going to make it work. What's interesting is the audience were rooting for them. You know what I mean? Like when you watch certain reality shows, a lot of people are like, girl, divorce them, get rid of them, girl. Like, what was interesting with Melody and Martell is a lot of people wanted them to work things out. I think people fell in love with them as a couple because they are so alike, not just in the clothes they wear together, you know, but they coordinate. But I even said this to them. I said, in my opinion, you two are each other's soulmates, because I think you two were made for each other in a sense, because the stuff you two like to do, only you two understand. And it's, to me, it's devastating to see their marriage crumble. And listen, call me naive or call me delusional, call me crazy, but I'm still hopeful that one day they will find themselves back to each other.
Well, I have said that to Melody, and she, at first she listened, and then I think the second or third interview she was like, like, but it's hard to watch, because like you say, you see, especially we see Black love in a real way. This is reality check. It's a real way. Things are not always, lovey-dovey. People have issues they need to get over. Martell definitely has that. So without further ado, I want to talk about this reunion, because I could talk to you all day about these couples, but this reunion, when I say, I want to play this clip, and then I don't even know where, I'm going to let you start, because I don't even know where to start after this clip. You all, I'm going to play this clip. This is the teaser from the upcoming Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion.
Ready for an unfiltered 3-part reunion.
Oh, let's do it.
This will be very interesting.
Showtime, baby. We're going to leave it all here.
on this reunion stage where it all started.
Did you perform fellatio on a man?
I'll be real specific. Somebody performed it on me.
Of all the time to keep your penis in the household, you whipped it out in the middle of a pandemic.
You're trying to put a side person on the level of your wife, and you gonna have a baby with her?
Y'all got a degree from the same place, though.
Martell's a different guy when he's with him.
Dude, stop. You accused Marsau and Melody of messing around.
Yeah, and he apologized for this.
Never apologized for anything.
I recorded it all.
I don't care.
I got the recording in my
Martell,
phone.
bring
I got
the
all of
recording.
that.
Put some on our marriage.
When you look at Lewis and Tiffany, do you see a successful marriage?
We know when we're seeing something fake.
Everyone has an opinion, just like everyone has an ass.
So don't share your ass with me.
A lot of people have petitioned for you to be fired off the show.
I feel like there's a conversation of transparency there. I heard Tiffany got fired from the chamber.
I was shocked too.
It's just crazy how judgmental you are.
You know, Kimmy and Marissa's fooling around.
Pipe down and let me
Don't
say
do
what
that.
I'm
Don't talk
saying.
to me like that.
Tisha, just stop talking.
I don't like Kimmy. Kimmy is a
I
snake.
don't give two.
When you filed for divorce the first time, were you and Kyra intimate? If you would have met this woman before Melody, do you think you and this woman would be married?
I think it's bull.
Hold on, Melody. Hold on, Melody. Let me ask you this.
You haven't told truth about me. You haven't told truth about Melody. You haven't told truth about me.
There is something drawing you back to this woman.
It's such a dark shadow.
Because I wanted it.
I hate being there.
Melody did not want this woman to win.
Y'all did bring it in.
I hate Huntsville.
Woo, child. Child. Carlos. I don't even know where to start. I saw that and I was like, okay, first of all,
It's a 3-part reunion. We haven't had a reunion in over a year.
right?
Our last one. I am your Mr. of Ceremony.
I love that. I love that because who could really talk to these couples and get the real from them besides you? That's why I love to see you doing your thing,
Thank you.
hosting this. You know what? I will say, I'll start by saying this. Melody is her public persona is always so strong. And I admire that. We've talked to her about the fact that she's been a role model for other women. So when we see Melody unable to keep up that aesthetic that she is really more comfortable keeping up, that lets us know that obviously there's a lot of pain here,
Mhm.
but this is on a whole nother level with these two and this and how that relationship really seems to set the tone for the entire show. Melody and Martell's breakdown really seems to spill over into everyone's relationship, definitely Marsau and Tisha's.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit of just about that dynamic, and is there a way to keep that from spilling over into everybody's marriage? Because when you've got couples that are married that way and they all have they're all beautiful, these relationships from college with these good-looking guys, beautiful women, and then you see one is broke down, it definitely makes you look at everyone else with a microscope. Like,
Yeah. Right. No, definitely. So to answer your question, again, they've been friends as a collective for almost a decade.
Yeah.
So when you have friends in your friend group that are going through marital issues, it does impact your relationship in the sense of whose side are you on,
yeah.
and whose opinion matters in this. And based on what you're watching this couple go through, what does that mean for your marriage in terms of, I remember the first episode, the first season, when they had this big dialogue about what's respectful cheating.
Yes.
And it allowed other couples to talk about, like, what does that even mean?
Mhm.
So you think about the Melody and Martell debacle, it definitely has an effect on the friendships. But one thing about the other couples is I think they look at Martell and Melody and say, okay, what is it that we have to do so we don't end up there? And just like you said, Melody is a role model for a lot of women. I definitely think Melody and Martell's relationship is an example of things that you need to look out for in your marriage, where your wife maybe should be doing some things, your husband maybe should be doing less of some things. So it's a conversational piece. And last but not least, the one thing I love about this show particularly is I have so many straight men who are married who tell me, like, this is the show that me and my wife watch together. That's because awesome. As a couple, we talk about the things they're going through as a we can relate to it as well. And I think that's the beauty of the show too. That
definitely is. And that brings me to another point. So Marsau and Tisha, another very strong, we got very strong, big, perfect alpha male personalities. And we saw Marsau this season acknowledge that he felt like he was dealing with depression. Very, very shocking, because we see him as this very, calm, cool, and collected guy who always seems to a little bit kind of got a little sarcastic sense of humor, but he does always seem very composed, very logical and rational. So for him to acknowledge something like that on the show, even to where his wife wasn't aware of it, I thought was really powerful. Did you hear feedback on his admission? And then he took to social media to talk about it a little bit more, but I was really shocked and really proud of him, number one, for saying that, because that's not the personality that we often see acknowledging that they need help. We actually saw Marsau say he didn't want help. He didn't want to go to counseling, early on. So were you surprised by that? And what has the feedback been from hearing him acknowledge that?
Yeah, no, I was definitely surprised. It wasn't something that he ever mentioned before or that we were aware of. So when he was open and honest about it in Las Vegas on their couples trip, we were definitely surprised by that admission.
Yeah.
And as the creator and producer of the show, for me, it's the conversation of this is so apparent in the Black community, and Black men don't talk about anything dealing with depression or mental illness or just your mental health as well. So to have someone like Marsau talk about that, like you said, he's a jokester. He keeps things light, and you sometimes don't know what a person is going through behind the laughter and the smile and the jokes. So I definitely think it allowed, again, Black men who are watching the show to look out for those things. It allowed me to have conversations with my brothers who also work 40, 50 hours a week. And I said to my brother 2 weeks ago, like, you need to take time out for yourself, because it is so true that Black men who believe in working hard and bringing home the bacon and they sacrifice their emotion, as Black men, we truly are raised to not cry when we're little boys. Don't cry, toughen up, wipe that tears off your face.
Yeah.
We're told not to show any emotion as a little boy.
Yeah, that's true.
And that has an effect on us as men. We don't know how to get in touch with our emotion. We're told not to showcase that. So my hope is that we get to get rid of that stigma in the Black community and start allowing our Black boys to be emotional, to share how they feel, and not feel like they'll be reprimanded for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have a son. I remember when he was 7, he was playing football and got hit, and he started to cry. And my first reaction was to go to him, and his dad was like, "Nope, suck it up, don't cry." And then I immediately was like, "Okay, suck it up." And I realized later, as we had a conversation with him. He's in college. Like that's the lesson I got, is that if I'm hurting, it's not okay for me to acknowledge that. And that is so toxic. But that's been a part of our community. So again, kudos to your production team for being able to handle that in a great way. So where Marsau felt comfortable, because he definitely is not one that we expected to be showing his feelings like that. So I was happy to see that. Now you introduced, there's some new additions to the original 3. We met Destiny, and I got to say, Carlos, I was confused because we saw Destiny a little bit. We interviewed her. She had a new baby. There was a husband. And then all of a sudden she returns sans the husband. I just know that they're gonna let us know what happened with this husband. Like, what is going on? It feels like that was just kind of glossed over. What's behind the way you all handled that so differently than everything else?
That's the most asked question I get is what happened between Destiny and LeBaric, and why didn't she talk about it? Why? Because they know with my shows, I make sure my cast speak candidly about what they're going through.
Right.
Why is Destiny on the show? She can't talk about it.
Yes.
So we do talk about this at the reunion.
Okay.
You will see it. Without giving anything away, what I will say is sometimes when you're going through a divorce, there are agreements that you have to abide by.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's all I'll say with that. But I definitely did as much as I can to get her to open up.
Right.
But she does share some great insight into why she wasn't able to speak so candidly about her divorce and about that marriage and what that means for her position on the show. So you get a chance to get all of those answers.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to be tuning in, you all. We have the man himself, Carlos King, is joining us today to talk about this upcoming 3-part reunion that he is hosting himself to make sure we get all the scoop from this cast. In addition to Destiny and the new baby, we also have a new couple. So I got a quick little clip because Tiffany is a mystery to me. Her husband is still a bit of a mystery, but this clip is how it started. And I'm wondering, are we going to get some more clarity? It looks like we are from that teaser, but I want you to speak a little bit to this final couple that you added and what it was about them that you felt would be a good fit for the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast.
At the beginning of my life, I wasn't born Tiffany. My birth name was Jamie Lynn Payne, and I was given it for adoption because I'm biracial. So my biological mom kept her 4 Caucasian children in Alabama. And I didn't know growing up that I was adopted. So there's a lot of baggage that leads to why.
Because you're adopted by a biracial couple.
Yes, girl.
We have a lot in common as it comes to pertains to that, because I was actually in foster care and in group homes myself. And my mother had a drug addiction, has a drug addiction. So I know what that's like.
It has been.
So actually that conversation helped us get to know a little bit more even about Destiny, because there's this thing of being like this perfect, especially with Black couples, or just social media promotes this very vain, I have it all together. I'm the boss chick. She's got the beauty supply store. She's the mom. She's beautiful. Got it all together. So for her to peel back some layers, that was interesting. But like I said, Tiffany comes off as a bit of a mystery, even in how she reacts to the other ladies. What was it about Tiffany that made you think she's going to be a great addition for the show?
Yeah, speaking of something that fans ask about in nauseam is Tiffany. Like Tiffany is definitely the most talked about character on the show besides Martell. Which I love. I was telling somebody earlier today, when I cast anybody new, you're doing a good job when that person is the most talked about and they're new, right?
True.
So when it came to Tiffany, we interviewed lots of couples. What drew me to Tiffany and Lewis was I loved Tiffany's level of honesty as it relates to her opinion.
Right.
When you watch other reality shows, sometimes when the new girl comes in, she's watching TV.
Right.
She's sitting there just looking at the conversations happening. Right. She's not inserting herself. Tiffany has no problem inserting herself, to the point the audience, my audience, Love and Marriage fans, number one, they do not like new people.
Right.
They did not like Destiny. They were like, why is Destiny coming for Kim with this chicken?
Yeah.
Fire Destiny. They did not like Sadark. Why we need Sadark? He's corny. I don't want Sadark. Yeah. So I knew Tiffany was going to get the grunt of that too. But long story short, what you're going to see with Tiffany on the next season is somebody who has a lot to talk about as it relates to her childhood.
Yes.
We're diving into that more. But what drew me to her is the fact that I wanted somebody to join the cast that the couples did not have a 7-year friendship with.
Right. Well, that's obvious. They don't.
Yeah, it's obvious, right? Because you want to bring somebody in who sees things from a different perspective, or may have a different point of view with things, or may not be afraid to say things because they feel like, well, I've known you for 7 years. I'm not going to say this because I don't want you to say that about me because you know this about me. So I wanted somebody to come in and be like, I'm just coming in, seeing what's happening, and I got an opinion.
Right.
But I think people are now slowly turning around with Tiffany. I think they're understanding her a bit more. But she is definitely somebody who I felt fit to show because it was something new that the franchise hasn't seen yet.
Definitely. So I just want to, her and Lewis, just definitely a different dynamic as a couple than the other couples. And maybe it's because they haven't been married as long.
Yeah.
It just feels different. So I'm assuming we'll get a chance to dive more into that.
And at the reunion, the couples have a lot to say about Tiffany and Lewis themselves.
Yes.
So you get to see a lot of that. To the point I said back like, y'all talk it out.
Wow. Well, I know we got to get ready to wrap up here. There's so much more that I could ask you because, like I said, we watch the show and enjoy the conversations with the ladies. Definitely enjoy talking about Martell because he does so much that gives you so much fodder for conversation. What do you think? Can you give us any little scoop? I mean, obviously this is the night before, so anything that we should definitely be looking out for, or that you are excited for people to get a chance to hear more about for this first part on Saturday?
Yeah, so you really get a chance to hear some interesting revelations when it comes to the Holts and their marriage that you haven't heard before. So a lot of new information that comes out of that. We talked to Maurice about Kaiwa and him filing for divorce twice.
Can we put this? Are we going to be able to put this rumor of if Kimmy was a side chick or not?
Yes. And I asked Maurice point blank why he doesn't defend Kimmy when she's being called a side chick in front of him.
Nice.
So part 1 is good. Part 2 is great. Part 3 is fantastic.
You know what? And kudos to you for dragging it out that way and making it
We got a lot to uncover, Christal Child. So yeah.
Yes. Well, congratulations on an amazing cast and doing such a great job. I did want to ask you about these ladies from Mississippi. Are the Bells coming back? Are you working? Is there something in the works there? Because we just started talking to them, and I enjoyed the idea again of women that are doing their thing in a different way in a place, Jackson, Mississippi, that you're not thinking about. So, are we going to get a chance to see the Bells return soon?
You know what? The one thing I don't like about my job is I wish I could be able to tell y'all everything, but because I have to respect the network's wishes.
Yeah.
What I will say is this: ask and you shall receive.
Gotcha.
And the Bells are belling.
The Bells are belling. Well, Carlos, let everybody know when they can tune in for the first part of this explosive reunion with Love Marriage Huntsville on
Yes. So part 1 of the Love Marriage Huntsville reunion comes on Saturday at 9:00 8 Central. Part 2 is the Saturday after that, and part 3 is the Saturday after that. So I need y'all for 3 consecutive Saturdays to stay home, 9:00 8 Central on the Oprah Winfrey Network, Love and Marriage Huntsville. First ever 3-part reunion.
I love
and it's
it.
worth every 3 parts.
I believe it is. Congratulations to you. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you step into that come from behind the scenes and get in front of that camera and get this cast under control. So kudos to you, Carlos.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us. I didn't even get a chance to talk to you about happy holidays, but we're wishing you a very, very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and all that amazing stuff. We probably should have had you come back. We probably should have
come back. There may be some other stuff for me to talk about.
I think there will be. So we definitely want to have you come back after we get into this. Reunion. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. And we will definitely look forward to seeing you tomorrow night on OWN.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good happy holiday as well.
All right. Thanks, Carlos. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.